Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Washington Commanders Morning Show. I'm your host of the Trap or Die podcast. Oh, I was about to say, what is that noise? All right, let me get out of that. I'm your host of Trap or Die podcast. My old man. Good morning. Happy Friday to everybody that's tapping in live. As always, man, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Man, we are here. The weekend's here. We're blessed, man. Another day of life, man. I hope everybody's doing well. What is this? December 13th, bruh. A couple of weeks away from Christmas, a couple of weeks away from the new year. But this month has flown by quick. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Honestly, time has flown by fast ever since November hit. Honestly, which is a very random subject, but time has been flying. Basically, is my point. Shout out to the San Francisco 49ers. I don't know if anybody else that's listening had their money on the Niners last night. But they fumbled the game away. So I'm very thankful for them because I continue to lose. Hey, bro, the losing streak. I don't need the losing streak that I've been on the last week and some change. It's not even really a losing streak because I win some. I hit a big parlay on Sunday. I think my thing is sometimes I get comfortable in the wins and don't realize how much money I put down throughout a week. Or basically within my bankroll. And I did that again last night. And so again, shout out to the Niners for ruining my Thursday night. It's really my fault, honestly, because I told myself do not take a side. I made a live bet. I did it anyway. And I had no discipline. I only had one parlay going. It would have been an insignificant loss, and then I decided to do a live one. And took the damn Niners on the money line. Boy, that hurt. That one hurt. I should have cashed out when I had the chance. Okay, where am I at? What up, Jay Tizzy? Boy, you and AJ are hilarious. And shout out. Who was the dude? Devondre Campbell, bro. So I was reading up on the game after the case because I dozed off in the third quarter. I didn't even know I dozed off. I dozed off. I woke up. It was fourth quarter. But during that third quarter, it works. It very clearly works. But last night was crazy. But also, so at one point during the third quarter, he walks off the field, Devondre Campbell. Devondre, in his 13 games, I wonder if they counted. Let me see if they counted. Did they count last night? They did. Okay. So Devondre Campbell had on the season 13 starts. 13 games played, 12 starts with the Niners. This is his first year with the Niners, if nobody knows, right? Devondre Campbell, he has some accolades in the NFL. I'm actually pretty what's the word? I'm not a fan of Devondre, but I respect his game because like I kind of know him over the years, right? Like that's how long he's been. He has tenure is the word that I'm thinking of, right? Devondre is 31. I'm trying to figure out where his accolades so I can read them off. How do I get back to? Okay, he's had one Pro Bowl. An All-Pro year. That's actually kind of weird. I thought he's only had one All-Pro year. Anyway, good linebacker. So it starts with the Niners, and yeah, Devondre used to play for the Packers, the Falcons, and he had 1 year with the Cardinals. So at one point, he walks off the field, like straight to the locker room. Let me see if I actually did I capture the moment he walked off. I did. Yeah, he walks off the field. Let's see. This is Devondre last night.
Back, everybody. So Devondre Campbell didn't play a snap tonight, but this is him walking off the field, helmet in hand, in the fourth quarter. Kyle Shanahan was asked about it after the game. Here's what he had to say. Take a listen.
Happened with Devondre Campbell. He didn't play, and he went into the locker room at some point.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to play today.
Play today?
Yeah.
The coaching staff?
He did when I asked him why he didn't want to go in. So
during the game or before?
No, this was in the third quarter.
So he don't want to play anymore. Not only that, your head coach, there is no excuses, especially from a head coaching position, right? Like he's not, especially like when you get asked during the game or after the game, like if you have some tenure with the team that you're on and your coach is actually like holds you in higher regard, you may have a softer response. But Kyle has no loyalty to Devondre. And on top of that, you doing what you do, Kyle ain't like, I don't expect any head coach to really hold you in high regard. Excuse me, I shouldn't say hold you in high regard. I shouldn't expect any head coach to have your back in the presser. Kyle made it a point to say, yeah, he told me what he said. This is what he said. Like, typically they're gonna protect you to some extent. He ain't protecting. He threw him right under the bus. Charvarius Ward said something too, bro. And he was a little bit. He was more animated than Kyle. Let's see what.
He's a professional. He's been playing for a long time. If he didn't want to play, he shouldn't have dressed out. He could have told him that before the game. So I feel like there was some subtle shit that he did. Definitely hurt the team because D went down, and we needed a linebacker. And I think Flynn was banged up too. So for him to do that, that's some subtle stuff to me, in my opinion. Like it's probably gonna get cut soon. So it is what it is with that.
George Kittle said some things. It wasn't a good sight yesterday, especially when you're talking about a defense who essentially held the Rams to just 12 points. Granted, it was a weather game. That impacted their ability to actually be an efficient offense on both sides of the football. But as a defense, you hold a team to 12 points. But you're bleeding in the second half, right? You are leaking. And Washington, I'm looking at our situation. But the Niners aren't able to recover. And Puka ends up going off in the second half. Like he makes some big splash plays. And like Devondre is just nowhere to be found. He made a decision to leave, bro. George Kittle said some things. I'm sure there's other people who felt some type of way in that locker room. He walked off like Vontae did, but Vontae did it at halftime. He really walked off like AB. Like they made a spectacle of it. And Vontae just said Vontae just said at halftime, you know what, bro? I'm gonna go home. And it's even worse because like Buffalo wasn't good then. He just said, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna just, you know what? I feel like playing Madden. Y'all want to play Madden? Y'all want to play Madden? All right, well, I'm gonna go home and play Madden. Y'all let me know how the game is. I'm sick of this. That's what Vontae did. RIP to Vontae. He was a dog. Funny enough, so it's actually crazy that he went out like that from a retirement standpoint. Like it's crazy that he went out like that. When you have enough, you have enough. But yeah, man, I think Devontae, like this situation in general, I don't know if I've ever really I think I've seen people do that in flag. I'm not comparing. I'm saying I've never seen it's rare in the NFL. I've seen that the only level I've seen it in, personally, is flag football. And it's crazy because people get upset, but in that moment, nobody's on a flag level, nobody really thinks that your players or that your teammates, if somebody mad, they be like, I get it. But in the heat of a moment, I've never really seen people just pack it up. They wait till the game is over, and it's man, I ain't staying around with y'all motherfuckers. I'm mad. That's what they do. Or I ain't trying to hear it with y'all, but never mid game. I've never seen that before. I've actually had a moment when I was younger. What's going on, Jay? Good morning. I had a moment when I was younger, bro. Again, not professional, not college. And I was a hooper, and I moved to a new team, when I was in the AAU circuit, I moved to a different team because I was the one that I was on. I was a really good player. I mean, but we kept losing. So I went to a new team. I was like, bro, I'm done with y'all, bro. I love y'all, bro. We built a family over there, but I didn't know no better. I ended up going back. But I was like, I'm done with y'all. I go to I don't know if they're still around now, but I went to the Maryland Celtics. And they had some hoopers on their team. And I'm like, all right, I can live with this. And I don't expect to be starting. I'm new, but I'm gonna show my worth. I strap on defense. I got the corner three down pack. Corner three, I got the 3 down pack, bro. I could drive. You know what I'm saying? But I strap on defense. You need me. But they ain't playing me. They play me 2 minutes a game, something like that, 3 minutes a game. I'm like, bro, they playing favorites out here. I know I'm better than such and such. We went up against, who was the dogs in AJ Tizzy? Who was the dogs in DC? It was a DC AAU team, DC Assault. We go up against DC Assault. You know what I'm saying? I get a couple minutes, bro. I feel good because I know who they are. I'm trying to get some bump. I get in when they get blown out. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna get some time, but I'm really trying to play. It gets to a point, basically. Let me fast forward because I'm rapping. I get to a point, bro, where I'm like, I told my mom, I said, look, man, this is what they doing. I'm tired of this. And they sit me for a whole half, one game. And that's where I made the decision, bro. I'm not getting up to break the huddle with y'all. I'm not going in the game for y'all. I ain't doing nothing because y'all keep lying to me. Talking about I'm about to get some playing time, and I'm not. That's the last time I seen him. And I went back to the team that we kept losing, Maryland Stallions. But I felt good. And they welcomed me back. What's going on, Al 2? Hey, so look. Al 2 does I still have the email. Matter of fact, hold on. Hey, so let me just ask you, because I'm not good with this stuff. Do you have like a PayPal or a Cash App? Yeah, PayPal or a Cash App. I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm a little too lazy. I don't know if I can link the email, if I can link it to an Amazon. I don't know if I can send through Amazon with that email. I really don't. But if you have that, that'd be much easier. But I'm giving back to the gang, bro, to the morning trappers, man. That's what I'm doing, point blank period. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. So if that email's no Cash App or anything, god damn. All right, we're gonna work it out. But no, it's just appreciation, man, for the trappers, bro. That shows, you know, some support for the channel, man. So I definitely appreciate you. But we're gonna tap in, and I'm gonna make sure that I can get you set up the right way with that Amazon stuff. All right. So yeah, that's enough of the San Francisco 49ers. Terrible game, weather impacts. So, you know, it is what it is. And that's unfortunate. The Niners do suck. I didn't realize going into the game, and that's my fault, that they actually lost the last 3 out of 4 games. That one game is when they beat the shit out of the Bears. I just thought that they just needed George Kittle and Debo, and that defense would eventually turn the corner. Boy, I was wrong. Where was I? Social. Okay. That man said, get me to New Orleans in February. Boy, you think I am? Cup scored 0 points in fantasy. Man, I had him on. He was on the parlay. He was on the parlay, bro. How you think I feel saying he had 0 yards? And I had Puka's 6 receptions, right? And I had Puka 60 yards. And I took off 60 yards for Puka to put on Cooper Kupp's receptions. Oh, no, I took off, my bad. I took off Puka's receiving yards for Cooper's receiving yards. So basically, I could have kept Puka receptions and his yards on the joint, and I would have been straight. But you know, things like that happen. Debo is having a rough time. Okay. So, you know, last night on the podcast, we talked about Marshawn coming back to Washington. Coming back to New Orleans. And, you know, actually, let me see. I want to see if I can start off with KJ Osborne's. I think let me see. KJ Osborne. All right, here he is. I want to see if we got a scouting report available for him. We do. We do have a scouting report available for him. Okay. All right. So per my my scouting company that I work for, this is not my scouting report, right? So I want to make that clear. But we can view the other scouters. We could view the other scouts' work that they done on certain players. So I didn't particularly do this one on KJ Osborne, but we do have one on file. And I'm going to read off what at least he wrote. I trust the people who I work with, right? So I can definitely read it. You can take it with a grain of salt. You can kind of understand it a little bit better. Understand him a little bit better, but that's kind of where we're going with this. Let's get to know KJ Osborne from a what he can and cannot do standpoint, right? This was from last year is when it was created. So this isn't going into this season. This is going into last season is when it was created. So he has some strengths of he's a strong player, like actually a strong individual. He has good coverage processing, good balance. He's a competitor, and is really good through like leverage awareness. Is what who is this guy says? Per. That's the first person's name. That's the scout's name, Per. I ain't gonna give his full name out. But his weaknesses are, according to him, his foot speed, which is kind of what got him cut in New England. They said he wasn't, he doesn't play very fast to that extent. His extension meaning what he can do at the catch point, his willingness to extend for passes. So he probably doesn't have that extension aspect, but also from a body type standpoint. Well, let me go through his extension, his manual dexterity. That is like hand-eye coordination, being able to, put 2 and 2 together, make the catch. His arm length and his acceleration. His body type standpoint, he doesn't have good height, decent weight, right? He's 203 at the time that they did this. But his arm length is not good, and neither is his hand size. And those are important because it plays into how you can be, how physical you can be throughout a route phase. Also at the catch point, it plays into your ability to extend for passes. And that's kind of the weaknesses that Per outlines, right? So those are some of the strengths and weaknesses. Overall, not overall. What's it called? Overview. The overview, right? He doesn't deal with many injuries. He didn't have any in 2022, 2021. Dealt with a hamstring in 2020. Last year, KJ. Let's see, KJ Osborne. Here he goes. Last year, KJ. He was inactive just for one game in Week 10 against New Orleans. Okay. So what does he do well at the line? Let me make sure. Crazy Cat management. We expecting KJ to come straight in. I don't know. I don't think so. Honestly, I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't think he's gonna be like, that's my thing. I don't think he's gonna be ready like immediately. 1 second. And I think that's one of the big questions because people are auto clips talking auto. Yeah, people are asking the same questions and assuming that he'll be ready. I don't know if he will be. I actually don't think everybody's assuming he'll be ready, but he's making the efforts. He said that I'm gonna play his pressure, his short locker room pressure after we go through this. But the scout says what he can trust is his release at the line of scrimmage. He knows how to use his hands. He has good timing at the again, we're going through a scouting report, so it's going to get pretty technical. I'm trying to look at it and kind of simplify it. Not to say that anybody's stupid or anything. Don't get me wrong. I'm more so like I don't want to be technical. It's too early. It's 6:30 in the morning. All right. He has good hand timing at the release. He can really anticipate the contact and minimize the contact, and he has good strength where he can get into his route basically, right? He can drive through contact, which is pretty good for a player that doesn't want to get what's the word? That doesn't want to get rerouted, or I mean nobody wants to get rerouted, but it's harder for him to get rerouted. Is probably the way that I'm trying to go against. His release against all for zone coverage. He has solid vision, and that's where the leverage awareness comes into place, where he can open up his hips, and kind of get the DB to work the way that he wants the DB to work. So if he's assuming he's talking about playing, if the dude is playing off but inside, and he has a breaking in route, he can manipulate the DB's hips. Vice versa, if he's off and outside, and he has an out breaking route, or same thing if he has an in breaking route, he just understands how to manipulate the DB's hips to some extent. He says that he's solid on it, so he's not necessarily consistently good at doing it, but he can do it. The issue, where is the? Oh, he didn't mention this. Okay. So with the acceleration part, though, right? What's going to hurt him is like, I don't think you're going to see him as a deep threat. I don't think you're going to see him consistently being able to get downfield. In college, by the way, he ran a 4.48. Excuse me, at the combine. Ran a 4.48. So that's actually not that bad. But, you know, apparently it's not working out in the league, right? His acceleration, again, and being able to quickly climb and put pressure on DBs or close the cushion, right, is what gets him in trouble, or what causes struggles for him. So being able to get to that third level quickly enough, or threaten DBs on that third level, you're not going to see that from KJ. That's kind of one of the things that you know, you can anticipate. Now, I mean, that doesn't mean like they're not going to throw the foot. Like, if he can get downfield, but don't expect him to be the guy that they look to in like first, second in the progression in that aspect. He may be like a backside, like a third or fourth read when Jaden sees the corner or the safety is playing a particular way, and he feels he can go to KJ in some instance, right? But I don't think KJ is going to be worked as that third level guy on most occasions. He is at the break point. He can break down through changing direction routes. He has solid processing. Basically, when I talk about manipulating hips, that's what processing is. Like, he can zone process, understand the coverage, and things like that. But more importantly, like what he does, he just understands how to manipulate hips, and that's kind of the biggest thing. That's how he wins. He gets the leverage advantage. I would look at him in that aspect, somebody who is more centered around leverage, like a big tight end, because, you know, tight ends aren't really super fast individuals, and they aren't like winning purely off of like speed, but they have to be able to break down at the top of the route. And that's what it sounds like KJ does. That's where he's successful. He wins at the top of the route, being able to break down in that aspect. I mentioned his processing against coverage. He has the ability to find voids. He's smart against the blitz, so he can turn himself hot. He knows what that looks like. He has the consistent ability to do so. The scout does say that, you know, he has the ability to threaten deep, but again, it takes. He's saying solid ability to threaten deep with 4 steps. Stop a turn. Yeah. All right. I see what he's saying. Sail the vertical route. And that's another instance of processing coverage or manipulating the DB. So he ain't really saying he can go deep, but basically selling the vertical stem before breaking down on hitches and curls, which works in Cliff's offense because most of these guys just run goals and hitches. Solid with contested catches. Solid yak with elusiveness. So, you know, he can make some people miss. He's not necessarily going to beat you with speed after the catch or acceleration for the reasons that we listed. Foot speed and acceleration, not his thing. He's a good scramble drill guy, so he knows how to get open when the plays break down. And one of the more important parts, because you lose Noah Brown, is that he's a good blocker. He has good awareness in terms of being able to identify his assignment and execute or block the guy. He can get to the backside defenders. He's good at play side, and he plays through the whistle. So that's something that works. What else am I missing? Yeah, I think that's about it. So basically what we're talking about in KJ is like a first and second level receiver. They did pick him up for similar reasons as to what Noah can bring. He's a chain mover, solid contested catch guy. You're not going to see him win with any athletics or win with any speed, right? He's not going to win with any speed. He's not going to be able to, you know, win with like his physical tools, like his arms, his hands at the catch point. You know, he just is what he is, man. And I know that was a terrible way of concluding. But he like the body composition of the body frame is what really hurts him. But yeah, that's kind of what you get from KJ. That's kind of what you get from KJ. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't freeze. JT said KJ is a bigger OZ and a smaller Noah Brown. That's one way of saying it. But he ain't as quick as him. But yeah. So how run blocking? Yeah, we went through that. He sounds like a solid 2 across from Terry. I mean, it sound like a 4 to me. Sound like a 4 to me, brother. I ain't gonna lie to you out too. But he signals a shift from a predominant run game to a pass game. Yeah, it don't sound too good, bro. And it is what it is. Like, I ain't expecting like no superstar from him anyway. That is one thing. They didn't say if he can. Oh, so that's his vertical. He probably could jump out the gym. Okay. All right, so that's what we're getting at KJ. That's what we're getting at KJ. Jake Haener is the starter. That's one thing that we talked about last night as well. Somebody mentioned it in the chat. I forgot to mention that I looked at it and it was confirmed from a reporter as well. But Jake Haener is the starter. Jake he didn't have a start this year, but he's had some time on the. Who did he play? I'm trying to figure out. Jake played against. Oh, he actually played in 7 games. I don't know why I thought it was 1 game. Where did his most time? His most time came against the Los Angeles Chargers through 17 passes in that game. Only 52% completion percentage, 122 yards. I wonder who he came in for. I know he didn't start that. He came in for Spencer Rattler. Oh, he came in for Spencer Rattler, who went 12 of 24. They must have not been pretty for these guys. That was a pretty close game until it wasn't. Wow. Yeah, so Haener is, for those who don't know, where is he at? He came out in the 2023 class, Fresno State and Washington. I actually remember him in Washington for a little bit. I don't remember him being good. I actually don't remember him at Fresno State. That's the funny thing. I wonder if he went to Fresno State first, which would make sense. But he spent some time at Washington. 2023 fourth round pick for the New Orleans Saints. He's 48% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, no picks, sacked 3 times this year, 177 yards on the season. I don't have too much to say about Jake, but I do think what's interesting in this situation is that the unknown can really hurt you. They have come into a game the biggest advantage, right? Those guys. Now, granted, this don't always work out in their favor. Don't get me wrong. But when you play against people who you don't have that much tape on, they have the bigger advantage because they also are playing with house money, right? But the defense doesn't know exactly what to prepare for. Most of their adjustments are probably going to come in game. I mean, you could look at their college tape and see if you find some tendencies, but that ain't going to help too much in the pros. It's all about how New Orleans is going to protect them. And that protection may come by way of Alvin Kamara, right? AJ thinks he packed it up. I'm not too sure. I don't think he necessarily packed it up. It's like they still in the division race. Now, realistically, they may not think they're gonna make the playoffs, but I don't think that they packed it up. So I think the advantage coming in again, that doesn't mean that it's gonna work out for them, but he has the advantage because Washington doesn't know him. The Commanders doesn't know him. And I think that's probably one of the bigger things to take away when you talk about what exactly you're getting out of Haener. It's unfortunate that he's playing. Unfortunate for him, not for Washington. It's unfortunate for him that he's playing on a team that's lost most of his weapons. Taysom is a dog. He actually, before he got hurt again, he came out cooking, bro. Like 3 touchdown games, 2 touchdown games, throwing the ball, running the ball. Like what he was able to do. I mean, catching. He's a tight end now. But like he was like their do-it-all guy. He really moved the chains for them. But now you got Alvin. Valdez-Scantling is a threat, but it's like, honestly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Washington lately, they don't really give up like the explosive plays consistently in the air. Like it was a lot early on, and they do have some breakdowns here and there. Joe Witt actually spoke about that Thursday, so yesterday. But like, I don't really view MVS as like a big threat. I don't see it. I think Derek Carr and MVS was unique because Derek Carr loves to go downfield. And so does Josh Allen, who had MVS for like the first 6-7 games of the season. But he got phased out there. There's a reason why you get phased out. I don't know the reason. But there's a reason you get phased out. I really like MVS playing with Aaron Rodgers, good deal. I don't remember who he played with before that. Who did he come into the league with? Let me see. I don't remember his first team. Oh, I'm tripping. It was Green Bay. Then he went to Kansas City. Yeah, 48% completion percentage. Terry playing with Foles his whole career. But it's gonna be over with. It's gonna be over with after this year. Not to say that they're gonna get some, elite receiver in, but receiver gonna be a focal point. They know better. Like they know better now. They got them a corner in the offseason. I mean, during the season, they know they need a receiver. 48% is terrible. They said Rattler isn't ready. That's why they went to Haener. Hey man, ready? Hold on, let me look this up. Let me see actually if I can do, because they have team news here. So maybe I can pull up the Saints and let's see what we got. December 12th. Oh yeah, Jake Haener and Spencer Rattler was splitting first team reps on Wednesday. All right. Who is this by? John DeShazler of the New Orleans Saints. A senior writer for the New Orleans Saints. Spencer Rattler both took reps first team Wednesday. And Darren Rizzi, the interim head coach, will name a starter later for the week against the Saints. Yeah, the Saints are looking to win their 4th time in 5 games since Rizzi became the head coach. While Washington broke a 3-game losing streak before his bye week. Rattler started 3 games this season when Carr was sidelined. He completed 59 of 99 passes, 571 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. He was sacked 14 times. Haener's been a number 2 quarterback every game this season. So that would make sense. And Rattler's been the emergency 3rd quarterback, except for the games he started. So Haener has been the number 2, which would make sense for why Haener comes in over Spencer. Spencer was undrafted, I believe. If not, it's like a 7th round pick. So I don't think it's no big deal that he ain't playing. Let me make sure I'm not tripping. I think he was undrafted, right? Oh, 5th round. Wow. Where did I get undrafted from? Okay. Rattler being safe, started well, then cratered hard. Doesn't have a big arm. They only a game back in the division. They ain't packed it up yet. 2 games back. Yeah. I think we were trying to, my bad. I think we were trying to minimize how serious New Orleans would be this week, but trust me, they're gonna be ready to play. And I think that's one of the reasons why I asked that question, or kind of got into the conversation of, you know, the 3-1. This reminds me of, let me be more clear for those who wasn't on the show yesterday. The 3-1, like, this isn't a game that you can afford to take like a week off, or even down this Final Four stretch, like the proverbial week off. Like, I know they aren't literally going to be like, yeah, I ain't worried about this team, or I don't care if we lose. I know they're not literally going to do that, but for the sake of having the conversation of who can you afford to lose against, because teams are winning, and the Rams are on the Commanders' ass. The Rams are on the Seahawks' ass. Like, they're surging to the point where you're talking about a team in Seattle and LA. Like, if things work out for either one of them and they can get to 10 wins both, like, those are the teams that's threatening. Right? Those are the teams that's threatening Washington. Let me double check too. So I think, the Rams are 8-6. Right? Seattle plays their game in a couple days. It may come down to, so the Rams got Seattle for their last game of the season, and then Arizona the week before that, week 17. So you're talking about a 3-team race, really. I think the Niners should cook. Arizona still has a slight chance, but they have a chance. But a 3-team race for the NFC West. And if things work out well for Seattle and LA, and that last game of the season comes down to like a winning in scenario, which it likely will, Washington needs to be in a spot where they've clinched a playoff berth and they're just fighting for seeding. So that proverbial week off, this reminds me of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Philadelphia game back to back, right? During the moment where you don't predict a 3-game losing skid, people were, comfortable with the idea that you can lose one of those games, right, and be okay. What's going on, Ref the District? Appreciate you checking in, man. Good morning. Good morning to everybody that's just checking in. Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. If you're on that Twitter side, appreciate you checking in. Try to migrate over to the YouTube side, man. Show some love on that side, man. Again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. But this reminds me of that stretch, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, because you can't afford to lose to the New Orleans Saints with the Philadelphia Eagles looming right behind that game, right? That's the hardest part for Washington. They made, like, teams do, I'm not saying Washington is, teams do overlook opponents for the team that they're going to be playing right after that. And Washington wants their get back against Philly. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They got their ass whooped. They want their get back. They want to get it back in blood, bro. And I think those are one of those instances where you look at Washington and you say you're a 7.5-point road favorite against the Saints. One, that don't even sound right. Like, that's a large number. And I'm always hesitant about that with our team, but that's also my PTSD kicking in. Like, I ain't never seen Washington be 7.5-point road favorite somewhere. So, like, that's a little crazy. But nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised if they could cover that number. Especially against a Jake Haener. But That's where I'm getting at, right? You gotta beat the New Orleans Saints, because down the stretch you're gonna have Philly, and then obviously Atlanta after that, and then Dallas last. And you gotta beat Dallas on the road. But you have like a low key tough stretch, because you like, while Atlanta's in the slide, they still got some dogs on the perimeter. They still can tote if they wanted to. And then Dallas, we just played Dallas and we slept on them. But while they're not a good team, they still got some dogs on that defense that can cause havoc. So just understand where Washington is, man. Reading. Okay. Yeah, 3 games. Okay. The Packers lose Sunday and we win. We are in the 6th seed. With the Rams win last night. If Green Bay beat Seattle, all Washington has to do is go 2-2. They lock in minimum 7th seed. With the Rams win last night, if Green Bay beat Seattle, that's the Sunday night game. They'll just have to go 2-2. Hey, like I said, so if that's the case, well, first off, it's kind of backwards, because Green Bay and Seattle is the night game. So Washington got to win against New Orleans. And then you're saying they got to beat Atlanta, though. So that's in 2 weeks. Okay. Yeah, man, it's a little tough. And shout out to, Al too, for bringing up Chase Young. I actually worked with one of his family members. He's going to the game. He's actually going to the game today. I mean, he's going to New Orleans today. It's cool hearing their perspective on Chase. He's pretty honest. I'm not going to divulge all of our conversations, but he's pretty honest about Chase's situation, generally speaking. Not to say that it's terrible in New Orleans. He's actually doing pretty good in New Orleans. But his coaches, or the deal that he made in New Orleans, is definitely there's some contingencies in New Orleans, and I don't think he's meeting the mark. Without giving the exact number, he's supposed to be on his way to a double digit sack number if he was expected to stay in New Orleans beyond this year. That's not verbatim. That's just part of the conversation. And he's having the same story in New Orleans that he's had in Washington. The pressures are getting there, but he ain't finishing at the quarterback. But the coaches are recognizing, the work that he's doing. But I don't know. I think what's interesting with Chase Young, man, is, he's in a situation where, his head coach got fired. You on a 1-year deal, and, you ain't really, statistically speaking, you ain't cooking. I don't think that's an extension on the way for New Orleans and Chase Young. I don't think that's a marriage. Unfortunately, I think that Chase will probably need to go to a more stable organization. He's always been solid against the run. I always compared his career to Jadeveon Clowney. That's how I always compared his career, bro. He ain't gonna be no explosive pass rusher like that. Even the family member, he acknowledges, he had some things to work on in his passing game, right? Or pass rush. At the point of contact, gotta be a little bit better with your hands. And get some pass rush moves. But I don't know what a stable organization would like. I don't know I don't think that's going to be significantly better for him in terms of like his production, but like understanding that he does have a role out there in the NFL and being a solid run defender like Jadeveon Clowney was, or is. I mean, he's still in Carolina. I think that is the niche that Chase has carved out for himself in a good way. I think that's the niche for Chase Young moving forward. And why? Well, I'm sure he loves it down in New Orleans. You know, your coach being fired, and the reason, you know, a good reason why you were in New Orleans to begin with, right? It's not going to work out for you, player. You said we need the Niners to win? Oh, you talking about last night we needed the Niners to win. Still a little complicated, but the Rams win was good for the Commanders. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine. Oh, with the rent. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I would have thought that we would have needed the Niners to win last night. I ain't gonna lie to you, because that would make it a little bit more muddier for that. First off, for the 7th seed, right? Because you know they don't go to 8 wins, and it'd be 7-7. Like the Rams and the Niners would be 7-7. He said we win 10-7, tiebreaker, we lose. Yeah, Chase Young will play on a few 1-year deals. I don't think that's the thing. Like if he's having a solid season, he may get it like a 2-year deal. But yeah, I think it is. It ain't looking like he's about to be somewhere long term no time soon. Everybody want that comfort, right? But he may mess around, be a mercenary for a little bit, going from team to team, bro. He gonna have to have that magical, like breakout season, like Lorenzo Alexander, bro, where he just came out the woodwork, got you 10 sacks. Like that's the type of season he probably gonna have to have so he can find himself a home. Like Lorenzo had a couple good years in Arizona and a couple good years in Buffalo, like stacked couple years after he left Washington on so many 1-year deals, or like playing so many different positions. He found himself some homes in Arizona and Buffalo for short but extended periods of times. So yeah, man, I think Chase Young's gonna be looking to get back. What's also interesting is looking at Cam Jordan's year. Cam Jordan, man, Cam Jordan. I think I remember looking like it was earlier in the season, so like some point before our bye week. And I'm about to double check right now, but Cam Jordan doesn't even have. Yeah, he has 1 sack on the season. He's played all 13 games. Like going into, actually, I can just double check. Cam is also 35, but you know he's played a lot of time. Yeah, his first sack of the season came in against the Atlanta Falcons on November 10th. So that was, what week was it? Yeah, I know I wasn't tripping. It was week 10. Yeah. He got the sack in week 10. These guys get a lot of they get pressure, they create pressure, but they aren't necessarily disciplined enough to finish at the quarterback. And that's kind of the advantage that Washington has. So like I look at this game, obviously, we talked about it last night, but like I look at this game and I sit here and talk about a quarterback in Jaden Daniels, right? And this can be a really big game for him. Just from controlling the game standpoint, right? You can talk about a guy who's probably going to look to take advantage of rush lanes, right? Like you abandon your rush lanes or you lose your integrity. Jaden knows how to exploit that. Like one of his biggest strengths is having that pocket awareness. That's where Jaden wins, having that pocket awareness, right? Throwing downfield is one thing, but if they giving you rush lanes and I don't know, I mean, like New Orleans, if Jaden Daniels wasn't the quarterback for Washington, I wouldn't be surprised if New Orleans ran a lot of man coverage against Washington. But that's the challenge. And maybe they run like a match coverage or some iteration where the corners can turn their back on Jaden if he drops back. But you got to have some type of eyes on Jaden, right? That's going to be the challenge for New Orleans. And Washington's going to have to be able to exploit that. But I wouldn't be surprised like if New Orleans tries their hand in some situations because, again, you lose Noah Brown, who isn't special in terms of, we know, just his overall skill set. He ain't like an elite receiver or anything like that. But you lose one person who was decent at getting separation, and you replace him with who? That for Washington, that's who they'll need somebody to step up. But for New Orleans, they're like, yeah, we don't respect none of your receivers, and we ain't gonna respect them until somebody do something. So, hey man, Ref, take care. Appreciate y'all checking in. Enjoy the weekend. So, you say Chase, bro. Who else on that defensive line? So I'm saying, but to that point, like him being able to control the game, right? Getting Washington out of situations like they have a loss of yardage on one play or they have a penalty on one play. Him being able to bail them out with his legs, it's probably going to be a big factor in the game. The Commanders played against the New York Giants that second time, right? Jaden didn't do a lot of running. Okay. Yeah, Jaden didn't do a lot of running, but he did enough. 8 carries, 35 yards. He got Washington out of trouble a couple times, right? He did just enough. And I think all of that is important to take into account when you're talking about what Jaden needs to do against New Orleans. Not be a superhero, just control the game, manage the game. Terry McLaurin was my MVP, who I predicted the MVP was going to be. I think he can possibly have a big day ahead of him. He's going to get a lot of attention, of course, because Jaden really has only has Terry, but Terry's actually like on fire. I think he leads the league in 100-yard games. He only has 5, but 5 is a lot compared to other teams. I mean, other players, right? 5 100-yard games. Tennessee has 73 yards, but he's having a really solid season. And while, again, like I said, New Orleans probably going to pay a lot of attention to him, he's finding ways to get the football. It was unfortunate that Terry wasn't able to break through against Philadelphia. And even against Dallas, because, Dallas before that 86-yarder, he wasn't doing shit. But I think for Washington, I don't think they're going to lose focus with Terry again this season. And I think that's ultimately the point that I'm getting at. I think Terry is probably looking at another 100-yard day. Matter of fact, let's see the type of coverages that we can expect against New Orleans. What are their tendencies? I mentioned they may play their let's see, team tendencies. New Orleans. All right. So New Orleans. Oh no, not preseason. We don't care about preseason. All right. So they have a good split between middle of the field close and middle of the field open calls. For those who are unaware, Middle of the field close is cover 1 and cover 3. That's single high safeties. That's when the middle of the field is closed. Middle of the field is open when you have 2 high safeties. So they split their time in between middle of the field open and middle of the field closed. They're predominantly cover 1 when they have a single high. They're predominantly cover 2 when they have 2 high. But they play it, so they're predominantly those two, cover 1, cover 2. They don't play any 2-man, like 2 high safeties and man underneath, or like cover 5 type of thing. They rarely play cover 0 at all. Like how many snaps is that? Let me see. Does it show? All right, it doesn't show the exact number, but they rarely play any cover 0. And it mostly comes on like second and short, like short down and distances, and where you can expect a cover 0 pressure. But they do play iterations of 2 and cover 4 and some cover 6. But they're not really much of a quarters defense. That's not their bag. They're not a quarters defense. Predominantly cover 2, as I mentioned. Where you see a lot of variation for New Orleans is the cover 1 and cover 3. They play a lot of cover 3, comparatively speaking to any of the top like 2-man, 4, 6, 0. It's cover 1, cover 3, cover 2. That's it. In some quarters, like some quarters, just very few quarters. I think that's just their style, bro. Like Dennis Allen was like a man guy. Like that's the style of play that you got. And I wonder, matter of fact, let's see, when did Dennis Allen get fired? So we can see like if any of the coverage has changed since he's gotten fired. Okay. So Rizzy has been around for 4 games. 1, 2, 3. Since Atlanta. Let me make sure. I'm just double checking. Yep. All right, since the Atlanta game. So let's go back to Atlanta and let's see just how much things have been different since he's came out or since he's been the interim. All right, here we go. Okay. All right. So since Rizzy has taken over, I wish I could share this information. I can't really share the screen. We're doing shit, but he did house it. Managed both feet here. I expect 12 targets a game. Oh, that's your guy, man. 12 targets. He leads the league in EPA and catch over expected. Yeah, like I said, he's having a really good season, bro. I mentioned 100-yard games. He's leading the league in that. And then you mentioned EPA and catch over expected. He's a contested catch guy for sure. I think that's one of the bigger things that's being. I think he actually leads the league in contested catches too. Okay, so I mentioned the numbers throughout the season, but without Dennis Allen, they've played more cover 2, and they've been split. Now, like it used to be a heavy balance of middle of the field closed versus middle of the field open, but now they play more middle of the field open than they do closed. Again, like I said, they play a lot more cover 2 since Rizzy has taken over. They also play more cover 3 than they did. So now it's a more healthy balance between cover 1 and cover 3. I wonder if that's the case. I wonder if they're doing that just to keep their cornerbacks safe. Or maybe it's the opponents, but my guess is they're trying to protect their cornerbacks as opposed to having them in these one-on-one situations all the time. I don't know how much that's really working. They still, matter of fact, that's a good. Let me see. So not a good pass defense. But their last 4 games, they've given up 287 through the air, 377. And then they played the Rams, surprisingly, only allowed 166 and then 213. Okay. So they still giving up a healthy number of passing yards. Okay. So yeah, those are their coverage tendencies. But what does middle of the field open basically mean for Washington? Zone, probably going. I mean, they don't play any cover 0. You're not going to see that many pressures from them in that regard. They rely on their front 4. Maybe send a couple of blitzes here and there. Matter of fact, let's see. How much do they blitz? They blitz on 19% of the time. Primarily on 3rd down is when they send their blitzes. Seems like it's a predictable blitz package. Just send it on 3rd down. Oh, but what does that mean? I'm sorry. What does the coverage mean for Washington if you have a predominantly cover 2 team? And now you have more cover 3 usage, right? Cover 2. You can see some post routes with Diami, splitting them coverages, or even with Terry splitting them coverages. Splitting the coverage, splitting those safeties, right? The dagger concept can technically work against cover 3, right? Run that single high off, add a dig underneath. That's a staple. You can run that. You can technically run that against cover 2 as well. Cliff likes to run the sail concept. That's a 3-level route. 3-level route on one side of the field. We have that go route, a corner, and like a flat. So I mean, I don't think that's going to change based on coverages. But in terms of being aggressive and attacking down the field, and hitting the intermediate and deep passes, I can see post routes being a big deal in the offense. And like I said, I don't have a specific play call. I don't really know his offense to that extent. I watch it. I don't know exactly all the play calls. But if you can take advantage of splitting those safeties, they got Tyron out there. I don't know how good he's playing this year. I have no idea. But I also think you're going to have some opportunities to exploit those the secondary. The best part about Washington, I mentioned the quarterback for New Orleans. His biggest advantage is that Washington doesn't know him. But this same thing with the Commanders receiving core. And I know Jay Tizzy like him some. Like this honestly could be a game for Diami, bro. And that's why I'm like, I was laughing, but I was also like, I actually thought about putting down some bread on Diami having a 20+ catch this game, 20+ yard catch this game. So I think that this is a game where, while Noah isn't around, Diami can take advantage against this Saints defense. It's going to be a lot of attention on Terry. And I think Terry going to get his. But I also think this is a game where where Diami can have a couple of explosive plays. I'm interested to seeing what that looks like. I know people talk about Luke as well. I am a fan of finding a way to get Luke more involved. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I have no idea if that's going to happen. That's something that we all would like to see based on the fact that, we've seen him throughout the season have moments where he wins at the break point and wins in those coverage reps. Okay. Make sure he wins in those coverage reps. But yeah, I don't know. We're gonna see about Luke, but for sure, Dyami, I think Dyami can have a solid game. I wouldn't anticipate like breakout or anything like that. I'm not gonna sit here and say his whole career trajectory is going to change after a game against New Orleans, but I think this is gonna be a good game for him. Yeah, it's the goal, the post, and the dig. That's exactly it. It's go, post, dig, hitch, screen, flat. Ironically, everybody's routes this season are goals and hitches. Terry do the same thing. He got goals and hitches. That's just so weird, bro. Like that whole offense. If you ain't in the slot, that's what you running. Goals and hitches. Okay. Shout out to Matt Paris because Matt Paris actually did a story on. Did I retweet this? I think I did. I did. Yeah, he did a story on Chase Young and where his year has been with the Saints. I retweeted it. You can find that on my timeline. He feels like he's having a career year. Like I said, like he's having a good season, but it's unfortunate that those sack numbers ain't piling up. And ultimately, I think that's what would have kept him in New Orleans. I don't think a new regime is going to be geeking into keeping him around. And that's an unfortunate truth, from my opinion. All right, where we at? Cam Jordan, Tyron. Hey, my man Tyron, bro. My man Tyron, bro. Hold on. Let me play this jump. Terry got 3 slants last week. Oh yeah, we was talking about that. He don't run it. They took the slants out of his repertoire. That's crazy. Like that's what he do. He run them slants and he run the slants hard. I'm sharing the wrong thing. Share screen. Here we go. Who is this? Joe.
You know, people love him. You know, so I think you know, him coming back. He'll have some fans, you know, in the building, and I think, you know, obviously we got to try to, you know, not let that become, you know, a celebration. You know what I mean? So it'll be fun. Sometimes you need a fresh start, you know, as a player. It's not really no love lost. It's just, you know, sometimes you just need to change the scenery. And I'm hoping he has that. I'm hoping he's happy. But you know, we miss him down here. You know, people.
I'm not surprised when you spend that much time in New Orleans. You know, you're gonna get a lot of love, bro. Full confidence going out there, do his job. Let's hear from Quan Martin. Quan Martin spoke yesterday as well. What's that? What's today? Oh, he spoke a couple days ago. Let's share Quan Martin. Hold on. Share screen.
How beneficial has that been? Have you noticed kind of extra energy, you know, people kind of rejuvenated for the stretch run?
Yeah, man, it definitely feels good. Just got some time to rest, man. Just recover, let the body just, you know, do its thing, man. But yeah, it's been a long 13 weeks before, so really just using the time to just recover, you know, get our bodies back, whatever, you know, we need to do to continue playing.
Potentially getting a Marshawn Lattimore back on the field. What does that do for the secondary, for the defense, the type of skill set that he brings to the defense?
He's definitely a great player, man. So I definitely got full confidence that he'll go out there and do his job. And great player for us. Just help the defense out a whole lot.
Shout out to Quan. You know what's interesting with his season? You know, I asked this question on the Hogs Haven Twitter. I said, let me pull it up so I can find it. Damn, I didn't realize I asked this a long time ago. Damn, it's been. Hold on. Oh, all right, here we go. Who is an overlooked offensive and defensive player that has to step up or needs to be more involved over Washington's final 4-game stretch? And we got a couple Quan Martins. We got a couple responses from people saying that Quan Martin needs to step up down the stretch. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I was so confused, bro. Now I couldn't say that. I didn't want to say that on the Hogs Haven. I didn't want to respond to them in masses on the Hogs Haven Twitter account. I was like, bro, like, what exactly are you looking at to suggest that Quan Martin is playing like not up to par, or his play's not up to standard? Quan is fine. Quan is healthy. He's playing. Ain't nothing wrong with Quan. I mean, well, he's healthy enough. But like, what are y'all seeing that I'm not seeing? Because Quan looks fine. He plays good. You know, he's not necessarily like no superstar, but he understands his coverages. He does his job. He's a good tackler and he's a playmaker from the standpoint of like he can force some fumbles. He can come downhill and you can trust him to make a tackle, make a tackle in the alley. All right, in that lane. You can trust him. So I'm like, in what instances are we sitting here saying that Quan needs to step up? I was so confused, bro. I think Quan is having a good season. And if people remember, Quan is one of the individuals who, you know, the coaches are calling out consistently in pressers when people ask, you know, who do they want this defense to, you know, be molded? Like, what type of mentality do they want? Or who makes up the mentality of what they want? And it's Quan. Like they mentioned him. He's one of the names that they mentioned consistently throughout the season. So I was so confused when people said Quan's name, that he needs to step up. Again, shout out to Quan and what he can do for this defense and what he has done for this defense, man. He provides some juice and energy, bro. Like him and Quinn strike shit. Like Quan brings, bro, he brings the boom, bro. Like that's another thing that people ain't taking into consideration. So hold on. What is he talking about? Oh, I did want him. So OBJ got cut. Somebody mentioned me on Twitter that I wanted OBJ. I did, but they didn't change the roster up now. I would definitely, I mean, come on. I would definitely take a little, I would take OBJ down the stretch, but I don't know how much that's going to help them right now. Let me actually rephrase that. I know it's going to help them, but I don't know how much it's going to help them given that I may be talking a little bit too fast here. I'm processing everything in real time. I think maybe because Tyreek and Waddle is fully healthy. That is majority of where their catch percentages are coming from. I'm trying to figure out why he got cut. He definitely don't get enough targets or enough targets that would, you know, make him happy. I would say, that is what it is. Odell has 18 targets on the season. Devin Achane, he's a receiver that they like, running back. You know what I'm saying? He had 71 targets on the season. Devin Achane. Jalen Waddle, 72. Jonnu Smith, 78, excuse me. Tyreek Hill, 97. The next person after Devin Achane, the running back who has 71 targets, is Julian Hill and Odell Beckham. They both have 18 targets. So I think, like, me on the outside looking in, they're very comfortable with those top four getting majority of the targets. Ain't nobody else getting the targets on that team. So why do they need to? That's actually kind of weird for an offense to be distributed like that. Like you got Robbie Chosen, who's what's dude name? His original name? I know him, but Robbie Anderson. I don't know where he is right now, honestly. I don't even know if he's still on the team. Braxton Berrios. Like, their receiving core basically is some shit. And they still cut Odell Beckham. But when you have 4 people making up majority of the targets, got a running back with 71 targets, bro. And he averages 7.5 yards of reception. He ain't really doing shit. It would make sense for Odell to not want to be there. I mean, come on, the dude, he had 1 target against the Jets, 2 targets against the Packers, 3 against the Patriots. Didn't have any catches in that game. Like, the 9 games that he's played, he's had some catches. The most he's had was a 4-target game where he had 2 catches against the Raiders. Trying to see let me go to his game log so we can see how many snaps. What's his snap percentage? Yeah, he's playing around 20% of the snaps for the Dolphins on offense. It's not much going on. Let me double check. Yeah, 20 on the dot. 20% of the offense. 20% of the snaps for the Dolphins offense. Yeah. I don't think it was a good fit for Odell. He went to 2 teams, Baltimore, Miami. I think Baltimore, he showcased his toughness coming back from that injury. He was a team player, selfless with the Ravens. He did a lot of blocking there. He got real physical. That's why the dude who asked me on Twitter, what do I think about him? I was a real advocate of trying to get Odell after he left Baltimore. And maybe he didn't believe in Washington, which would make sense. Like, nobody would have been expected to believe in Washington. But they got the players. And things change. So he went to 2 teams that are run dominant and really have trust in like the top targets, top targeted receivers or pass catchers that they, that's already established on that team. Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers. Even though he was a rookie last year, like that was one of Lamar's favorite players to throw to. And then in Miami, we mentioned the 4 already. So I don't know what his full story is. To make a long story short, I don't know what his full story is, bro. I don't know why he got cut or why they agreed to part ways. But clearly they're giving him a shot to move on elsewhere and have a chance to make some meaningful contributions on a different team. Would it make sense for Washington? I'll tell you this. If my scouting report on Odell going into 2024, because I haven't watched him with the Dolphins, so I'm going to be transparent. But if my scouting report is, still up to date, I think Odell Beckham Jr. would be one of the biggest fits for Washington at this current time. He's a separator. He's quick. You can rely on him. He still got the hands. It ain't like his hands disappeared. Like the explosiveness, I don't know how much is still there, like in terms of like his burst and being able to, to stretch the field. I don't know how much of that is still there. But first and second level, asking him to win quickly, being a focal point in the offense alongside Terry, you can use that. I take that. And for those who would love to know, he's good in the run game. He can block. He's a willing blocker. He's competitive. Like, don't underestimate. Like, I can bring up my scouting report right now. I can show you some moments where he gets his hands dirty in a Baltimore offense that, you know, is predicated on the run game. So I think that's encouraging. I don't know what his future is, and I'll leave it at that. He just got cut. But I wouldn't mind Odell in Washington if, you know, there wasn't some drastic drop off. Because, you know, you got to remember too. Oh, this is the last thing. Odell, he missed time in Miami this year due to like non-football injuries, like a non-football injury related thing, whether it was family or like some mental health thing. I'm not too sure. I don't remember exactly what it was. But he missed some time in Miami, so like that also kind of hindered his ability to get off on a good foot in Miami Dolphins. Let's see. There's Odell Beckham missed time. Oh, he missed another practice. Odell Beckham Jr. posts cryptic message after another missed practice. That was 12 hours ago. Okay, so all right. So I'm wrong. He said the 3-time Pro Bowler, this is ESPN in October. 3-time Pro Bowler said his late start was due to a combination of off-season knee surgery and a desire to spend more time with his family. So I wasn't tripping. He did have he had a knee surgery, but also like a family. I knew it was like it was a personal thing too. Okay. So Odell Beckham sat out back-to-back Miami Dolphin practices for what the team is calling personal reasons. On Thursday night, he posted a cryptic message saying that he may not be returning to the team anytime soon. He said, "One thing about me, no matter what, I'm going to always land on my feet. God got me believe that." He posted that on his story. Beckham joined Miami this year on an incentive-laden one-year contract. At the beginning of the season on the PUP list, Beckham made his Dolphins debut in October, but it's mostly been a non-factor in the team's offense. Yep. It ain't looking too good for Odell, bro. I don't think that's going to be a good look for Washington. Which sucks. We'll see. People tapped in the head. Quan doesn't have 10 INTs. They think he's playing bad. Facts. Let me go ahead. Start a message. Yep. Witt names Quan all the time as one of the standout players. Exactly. What's going on, big dog? Good morning. Welcome into the Commanders Morning Show. That's why he doesn't have the ball production yet. Yeah. I mean, and that's the funny thing. He is around the football. That's actually, first off, hey, bro. Hey, I'm not repeating it. Yeah, he is a running back built like a receiver. But he's an explosive player, man. We'll see what's in store for him. Okay. That's gonna close it out for us. Spitballing for the most part. But hopefully we all had a good conversation. Schedule wise, we'll be back Sunday afternoon for the post-game recap. Tuesday, we'll be back for Tuesday we'll be back for the aftermath, but also all 32 will come out soon after. And then Thursday game preview for that Philly team. Commanders Morning Show is back as well Wednesday and Friday. This week we had to cancel kind of abruptly Tuesday and Wednesday's programming, however we want to identify it as. So we didn't plan on not doing any shows, but we had to cancel Tuesdays and Wednesday shows. So that's kind of where the no shows or nothing, like radio silence for Trap It Out came out. So y'all take it easy. He can definitely hoop. I don't know if he can hoop anymore. It seems like he's going through some mental things, more personal. I don't want to say mental. I don't know. Personal things as well as injuries. I have no idea. I don't know. I would love to see what Odell and Washington looks like, but I don't think we're going to get that. But y'all take it easy. Enjoy y'all weekend. Stay safe. And we out of here, man. Peace.
Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Damn, set. Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.